28th of June 2016. I've attended the School of Tropical Medicine, and the people who were with me was Barbara Thomas, my next of kin, best friend and chaperone, and Bertie Squires, Professor Bertie Squires, who was quite rude to me on the phone once before and ignored all my tweets. And he had a German psychologist or psychiatrist with him, and he recorded the entire meeting. They keep absolutely denying that these samples that I'm providing have anything in them or are any parasites of any form, any shape or form. What I didn't tell him until the end of the meeting is half of those same samples that I gave to him I took to London with me, and I've subsequently had a phone call which was recorded from a doctor in the infectious diseases T8 at University College London Hospital, and he quite clearly stated, "William, you'll be pleased to know we've found louse in the specimens that you gave us." Now, louse, as far as I'm aware, live in the skin, cause skin complaints and what have you. I'll accept that, okay, that's the skin problem out the way. But what are these black things that have come from my back passage, that have embedded themselves within the skin of my rectum, that I've got images of, that are up my nose, and I've blown my nose and one of them shot out onto a piece of tissue, and when I've enlarged it and magnified it on the phone, you can clearly see it has an organism appearance, and it most definitely is not dead skin or blood or anything like Bertie Squire suggested today. He was dismissive of everything I had to say. Everything I've read on the internet is Morgellons syndrome, or people saying they've got black worms coming out their skin, or this or that or the other. Nobody's listened to the fact that since I came out of hospital, all this started. I've got no somatization issues like Dr Agawal, the psychiatrist that I went to see, suggested, because I was getting severe headaches and pains in my back and spine and everywhere else last year, and I kept saying to them, "Do you think it could be due to the trauma when I was knocked unconscious?" And in the end the neurologist turned around and said, "Yes, it could well be." They backtracked and said, "Yes, it could well be." But this psychiatrist that I go and see, Dr Agawal, I went to see him the other day, and I told him I was recording the conversation, and he wasn't happy. And subsequently, he said at the end of the meeting that he was really upset at the fact I didn't notify him that I was recording the meeting, and why did I feel the need. I told him because I didn't trust anybody in the medical profession, which I still don't, because they all lie for each other, and they lie through the teeth, and then they label you as delusional, or it's psychosomatic, or whatever, because it's an easy way out, or it's another way to hide the truth. Now, this doctor has sent a letter that's sat here waiting for me when I've come home today, this psychiatrist, and he's gone into great detail of what was said in our meeting. And he goes on to say he discussed with me a formulation about the difficulties when attending appointments with us last year, about the possibility of somatization disorder, and that this more recent beliefs about parasitic infestation could be in keeping with the formulation. I further suggested to him that he does appear to be presenting with symptoms suggestive of delusional parasitosis. He was dismissive about this and challenged this. I suggested that he could benefit from the trial antipsychotic medication, but he categorically denied this. Yeah, I'm not going to take psychotic drugs because there's nothing wrong with my mind. I am not making this up. I am far from delusional. I am saying 100% all these people in the medical profession are hiding it and covering it up because they don't want the public to panic. This is real. These people that go there and say they've got worms coming out the skin, who am I to disbelieve? I don't know whether they've had worms coming out the skin. All I know is these small black things that I've collected in sample bottle after sample bottle, which is in here. And if I shake the bottle, you will be able to see them, hopefully. Let's just shake that about a bit and get them so as you can see it. Because they start off minuscule, like that. See those little black specks in there? They start off like that, and then they grow to the size of that one there, which is on my bed. And then, when they're fully formed, and they are within you, like the one that I blew out my nose, I physically blew a tissue, and it blew onto the tissue with blood, and when I blew it, enlarged it up, it's got claws, it's got legs, it's got, like, pincers at the front, and everybody I've showed the image to has quite clearly stated that's real. But these people in the School of Tropical Medicine and Infectious Diseases and psychiatrists are all washing their hands of it and disbelieving me and discrediting me and trying to make out I'm delusional. And then in this last sentence of details of care plan, diagnosis, delusional parasitosis, he has put, Williams declined an offer of antipsychotic medication. I give him part 2 of the psychotherapy referral form, which I don't need psychotherapy. Williams keen to have a consultation with Professor Squire, which I had today, which I knew what the result was going to be. They're all going to keep denying it. I even said to them, why not put me in a bed, in a hospital, in a white sheeted clean bed overnight, and look at the bed sheets the next day and you will find these things, and then tell me it's dead skin. No, they dismissed that. They didn't want to listen to that. They don't take that on board. That to me shows that somebody's hiding something somewhere, because if somebody's so certain and so sure that it's not parasites, but the patient has got enough proof and is certain and sure that it is, and wants to prove to them that it is, why aren't they allowing me to prove it? Why not allow me to go into a bed, put me in a white sheet, put me in clean bedding, let me have a good shower, a good scrub, clean completely, and go into bed? And then the next day, they'll see all these black things that I keep finding on a daily basis in my bed, and I've done for months on end. And I feel them buzzing about in your ear, and when you wipe your ear out with a tissue, you find little tiny specks, like they're just beginning, and they've just hatched. And the same in the nose here. And when I've wiped my backside with a clean bottom after the shower, I've wiped my backside, there's hardly any faeces on it, but what is on it, or what has been on it, is, well, not thousands, that's over exaggerating, at least 100 of these black specks, literally. And when you pick them off, they're exactly the same as I find in the bed. So they are manifesting themselves within my body. They are genuinely 100% alive and kicking and eating and absolutely destroying me. I will end up going nuts in the end. And this guy, this Dr Agawal that I seen the other day, a psychiatrist he calls himself, got so upset at the fact I'd recorded him. He was so annoyed. That's why I know his diagnosis is delusional parasitosis, because he wants to get his own back on me. And in his last paragraph, he's put, should his condition deteriorate further and he remains reluctant to consider a trial of antipsychotic medication, I'm not going to take psychotic drugs when I don't need them. That's forcing somebody to take something they don't want. Then an assessment under the Mental Health Act may be necessary. That's like to put the fear of God into you and frighten the life out of you. Because who wants to be locked up in a prison cell in a mental health institute where nobody's going to believe you and they're just going to drug you up to the eyeballs? This is all wrong. This is a major, major cover-up, and I have enough people that have witnessed what's gone on and have been told by Bertie Squire, the professor, today, not to put anything on Twitter, not to put anything on social media, or he won't bother continuing to see me again. These people have got a lot to hide. My skin has deteriorated so much, it's unbelievable. I've had good skin all my life. My health has gone down. My eyes have been sore. The skin on my eyelids has all gone really sore. They were inflamed. They were swollen. These bits underneath the eyes there and there, I've bathed with red hot water, and I've actually removed these black things from my skin. The other day I put coconut oil, pure coconut oil, and rubbed it in my flesh, and 2 of those black specks came from within the skin, like they're burrowing within the skin. They've done it at the back of my neck, on my shoulders. They took a biopsy today, and even the guy doing the biopsy totally dismissed it and said, oh, I've heard this before, 20 years in the profession as a clinical dermatologist, consultant or whatever. Many people come up with samples and this, that and the other, and it's all delusion. What's wrong with these people? Why are they all saying it's delusional? Why are they all making out that we are delusional? There's something serious amiss here. And there's not 1 ounce of media that will cover the story or, you know, allow you to speak up and have your say. You are shut down the instant you start saying anything about this. I've gone online and I've read lots of forums in America, and there's that many people gone to their doctors where they've been distraught, their wives are distraught, their daughters are distraught. There's that one particular story where the wife and the daughter both have exact same symptoms as me, collected specimens like I did. They've lost weight, they were a perfectly healthy, fit, active, working human being until this manifested itself. And it took over their lives. And the husband was so distraught because he couldn't get anybody to believe him. Nobody believes anybody. They just automatically dismiss that these things exist. These things are crawling. Go on my Twitter page, please, and I will put some images on there and blow the images up, and you'll see the same characteristics of all these black specks, because when they're tiny, they're like a grain of salt. You can get them on your finger, and it's like they absorb into your skin. Then you start crawling a few days later, and you'll feel these things in the soles of your feet, in your legs, in your groin, your backside, in your neck, up your nose, in your ears, everywhere. You will find them coming out because they're breeding, they're living, and they have a life expectancy, obviously. Then they calm down for a few days, and then it starts all over again. The cycle starts all over again, and you're going through it all constantly for months and months and months on end. They are horrendous. I felt my heart pounding with them. I felt chest pain coming on with them. Nothing to do with the symptoms or anything that I've had before in the past. Then the hospital diagnosed me with possible a VQ scan of a high probability of multiple clots on the lungs. Once last year, then it cleared up, and then again this year, but only on a VQ scan. And I'm not convinced they were clots. I'm thinking it could be these things that have gone onto my lungs, but they dismiss that. Nobody wants to know. Everybody's dismissing it outright and saying this is delusional, or this is somatization, or we've checked the specimens. Very odd how my specimens that went to the Liverpool School of Medicine come back as a negative, nothing in there whatsoever, and yet I gave half of the same sample to London, and they were collected at the same time from me, from the bed, exactly the same time, and London phoned me up and said, "Oh, William, it's come back as a positive result for louse." And yet this high-profiled, multi-million-pound organisation that's supposed to be checked up on and all above board, Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, comes back and says, "No, nothing there, but we're willing to keep samples from you. But try this drug." They give me a drug today that affects you and can cause blood clots. Knowing full well I was diagnosed with blood clots on my lungs. The drug they've given me is known to cause blood clots and other kinds of symptoms, and interacts with other medicines like benzodiazepines. These people are prescribing drugs that mess your head up. And they're trying to tell me that there's something delusional about it all. There's nothing delusional about this. These things exist. I will go to my grave knowing full well the truth is these things that I collect in these specimen jars are from my skin, from my body, that drop out onto the bed. The only thing I found that really annoyed them and aggravated them, and they did drop off but they caused me a lot of problems, was pure coconut oil. I've tried neem oil, they don't like that, but it doesn't seem to kill them off. I've tried tea tree oil, that's okay, it's soothing and it helps for a bit of irritation, but if you spread some neem oil or whatever on the bed covers, these things come to the surface from the quilt. So they're digging in deep within the quilt. They're not bed bugs, they're not human mites. They don't look like it, and if you look at my images, when I put them on Twitter, at Billy King Second, that's at Billy King, lowercase, 2ND Second, at Billy King Second, I will put lots of images on. I'll blow these up, I'll magnify them, and I'll put them on there. And somebody needs to seriously start believing that this is not delusional, it's not somatization, these things exist, and there's a high probability that they may have been caught from somewhere like the hospital. And that's why they don't want people to be believed, because there'll be millions and millions of pounds of lawsuits going in left, right and centre. It's too easy to turn around and say they're delusional. They've got mental health issues. Let's lock them up under the Mental Health Act. Then they're out of the way, especially somebody like me that's rattling the cage all the time because I know I'm right. It's unbelievable. Everybody and anybody that knows me over the years will know I'm far from crazy. And whatever the doctors try and say, oh, he's had syphilis, he might have neurosyphilis or whatever, I was treated for it. And I haven't got it. And I am all compos mentis. The symptoms that I get are 100% genuine. The headaches I got last year, the pains in my spine, because I've got compressed vertebrae in the spine, are real. But then I was told it was somatization by this psychiatrist that turned around and said, this is delusional parasitosis. They are covering this up. And somebody out there really, really needs to look into this a lot further, because if I disappear, it'll just be swept under the carpet and another person gone. These people are responsible. These medical people that are classing us as delusional, or it's somatization, or these things don't exist, are hiding it. And there's got to be a reason for that. So ask yourselves that question. Are all the people that you Google on the internet or the web that turn around and say they're finding these black specks and the symptoms like I've had, are they all crazy? Have they all got this Morgellons syndrome that they're trying to make out? No, they haven't. There's a high percentage of those people are genuine like me. And this is genuinely happening. And I am living a living nightmare. I am living and breathing a nightmare, because I am one of the most clean, hygienic people you would ever wish to meet. Before all this started, I was ill in bed with ME for several years, didn't move from the house, didn't contaminate myself by going anywhere, didn't go out to cinemas or clubs or pubs or anywhere else where I was mingling with people. And yet, all of a sudden, I come down with this. February just gone. I start crawling. I had a procedure in Aintree Hospital, endoscopy, because I was having horrendous stomach pain, and I had a very strange doctor, Sinan al-Rabai, from Iraq, perform an endoscopy on me. I tried speaking to him before the procedure. He blanked me. He did mention about Iraq and about certain things to do with the war when I asked him what part of the world he was from. And then he mentioned about other stuff, about Westerners and this, that and the other. And he gave me the creeps. And after that, I was really bad. And now I look back, I'm thinking, I'm not being paranoid, but did that man, has he got such a grudge against the Western people that he's contaminated me with something? Because it wasn't long after that all this started. But it wasn't long after the 4-week stay in the Royal Hospital either. So, they're all dismissive. The medical profession don't get investigated. They don't get looked into. It's all hush-hush. You can complain to the chief execs. You can go to their PALS complaints department. Nothing gets thoroughly investigated. Even the Parliamentary Health Ombudsman, when you complain about the service that you get in the hospitals, they just don't want to know. It's all swept under the carpet. And unless somebody out there, this is brought to somebody's attention that's got the attitude and the strength and the time to investigate this further, the truth will never be uncovered. They'll just go unnoticed, and many, many, many thousands of people, or even millions, will suffer unnecessary if this goes. So I'm asking you, please, please, believe me when I say, this is not in the head. I've not made this up. This is absolute 100% fact, and the symptoms are real. The specimens I find are real. The images are all legitimate, 100%. I'm not out to make money. I'm not out to get publicity. I don't want it. I want to save people from going through this horrific nightmare that I've been living for months now. I pray to God that somebody out there gets to look at this or listen to this. I'm exhausted with it all. The only other symptoms I can tell you I've had are swollen eyelids, felt them crawling up my nose and in my ears. I've plucked them out of my ears and I've blown one out of my nose, so I know that they're there. It's not that I'm feeling the sensation, I've physically seen them with my own eyes. So has Barbara, where I live. I've seen them coming out my backside on the tissue paper. They're real. It's not faeces. It's not seeds. It's not something I've ate. I don't eat that kind of thing, or I wasn't at the time. I've lost weight. My immune system's shutting down. I feel shot. Even though the blood results are okay and the observations are okay, they're still on the lower end of cell counts like white cells and stuff like that. I'm always doing this, scratching. I'm not scratching for the sake of it. I feel them under the skin. They're disgusting. And if you put them between your thumb and your finger and crack the hard shell, the outer layer, they squish and they're soft in the middle. Then, if you put them in a container and starve them of oxygen like I did, I left them for days, and then I took a picture of the specimens in the bottle, and there was blood oozing out of them, and then I get told, oh, that's just blood that's probably come from yourself. No, there was no blood in there to begin with. There were just these black specks, and after days of starving them of oxygen, they die, obviously, and the blood comes from them is the blood that they've probably been sucking from the host. So it's not delusional. All the evidence is there. Emails were sent with attachments of images to them all. Chief execs of the hospitals, to the complaints department, to these, to that, to the other. And each and every one of them have covered it up. From day one, they're just like, try this psychotic drug. Well, I've told them I'm going to take the psychotic drug, but I ain't going to take the psychotic drug. Not a hell's chance of me messing with the neurons in my brain for some medical profession to turn around and dictate to me that this is all in the head, because it isn't. I, William King, born 28th of February 1962, will go to my grave knowing that there are liars and deceitful people within the medical profession and probably the government that know all about this and are absolutely dismissing it because of the consequences. There's no other reasoning behind it, because if I was in the medical profession and somebody presented this, I'd say, it's got to be real. Or I'd give them a chance and say, do you know what? We'll put you in a bed with white sheets and a clean bed. We'll scrub you down and we'll see you the next morning. But no, they're not willing to do that. Why? Because I'll prove myself right. And they don't like being proven wrong. They either don't know what it is and they can't cope with it, or they've had that many reports of it and they can't come up with a diagnosis. It's very, very real, and I tell you what, it takes over your life. It's disgusting. And I pray for you all out there, anybody that's got the same thing going on. I really do. Because there's only one person that's going to help us, and it's not the medical profession, obviously. So, please God, end of recording.